Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. John Lee announces he has secured around 300 nominations, more than enough to officially contest the chief executive election. Carrie Lam says the roadmap to reopen the city's economy will continue as planned from the 21st of this month. And Imran Khan ousted as Prime Minister of Pakistan following no confidence vote in Parliament. The chief executive election is set to welcome its first candidate. Needing 188 nominations to enter the race, John Lee has garnered around 300 so far, although the former number 2 in government said he's not stopping there. Macy Mock reports.
Just one day after announcing his intention to run for chief executive, John Lee has seemingly collected enough nominations to enter the race. He expressed gratitude to election committee members who supported him. The former chief secretary said he will collect everyone's opinions and publish his manifesto as soon as possible. Asked whether there were any shortcomings in his handling of the 2019 social unrest as security minister, Lee said history will offer a fair evaluation. While Lee has received around 300 nominations, his campaign team said they are aiming to secure more than 500, well above the threshold of 188 to enter the race. Former Chief Executive Yeung, once tipped to make a second bid for the top job, is amongst politicians who have thrown their weight behind Lee. Leung's successor, Carrie Lam, meanwhile, was once again quizzed on filling Lee's vacancy. She only said she has yet to receive instructions from Beijing on how to appoint a replacement. In a statement this afternoon, a government spokesman insisted that the work of the government will not be impeded even if the post is left vacant. But Tam Yu-jung, Lee's campaign director, seemed to offer a different account. The pro-Beijing heavyweight said they were forced to scrap a physical press briefing yesterday after failing to get an exemption on social distancing rules. He said such exemptions can only be granted by the chief secretary. Macy Mock, HKIBC.
The government said the voluntary rapid testing exercise this weekend will not derail plans to ease social distancing curbs later this month. Chief Executive Carrie Lam also hinted that school children will have to conduct RATs regularly when they return to campus for classes. Isaac Lee reports.
With the 3-day citywide RAT screening coming to a close today, the chief executive has refused to call the voluntary exercise a failure.
We did make full preparation for a surge in positive cases as a result of the RAT. But as it turned out, the first day figures do not show this surge. Whether it has given rise to another 300, 400 or not, the total number of RAT tested positive cases reported yesterday, we're only 1,600. So it's well within our capacity to manage.
Lam said authorities will have a better grasp of the situation when more data come in over the next day or two. It is also too early to tell if the suspended compulsory universal testing will be launched again, although she confirmed a roadmap to resume business activities will continue as scheduled.
I can assure you that the relaxation in social distancing measures announced on the 21st of March and will take place on the 21st of April is unlikely to be affected by the RAT. By and large, unless there was an exponential surge. Otherwise, we would continue to implement the relaxation. But the relaxation will be gradual.
She said more details will be offered in the coming days on how venues such as cinemas, sports centers, and beauty parlors can reopen later this month. Meanwhile, face-to-face lessons will also partially resume at schools after the Easter break. Students will most likely be given extra homework. They will have to conduct RATs at regular intervals, possibly daily. But a vaccine mandate for students remains off the table, Lam said. citing their rights to return to the campus. Exactly, HKIBC.
Despite the call to conduct RAT tests, Hong Kong's daily infections were down 24% from yesterday to just 1,921. But the number of imported cases rose to 18, with the flight suspension mechanism coming into force again.
TK083, on arrival on the 8th of April, there are 3 cases on this flight. So, yesterday evening, the Food and Health Bureau has suspended Turkish Airlines from Istanbul to Hong Kong for 7 days, starting from today, 10th of April.
All Japan Airlines flights from Tokyo will also be banned for a week. Nearly 60% of cases in the past 2 days were identified through RATs. The Center for Health Protection said the increasing ratio meant that people are heeding the government's call to self-test. There were also 65 deaths, taking the fatality rate to 0.73%. Customs have seized a record 700 kilos of methamphetamine in 2 operations last month. The drugs, worth $400 million, are believed to be temporarily stored in Hong Kong, pending transfer to other markets in the region. Macy Mock reports.
This is what 700 kilos of methamphetamine looks like. In a record bust, Customs intercepted an inbound consignment of transformers from Mexico at the airport on March the 18th. A closer inspection discovered that 447 kilos of the drug in liquid form were concealed inside 3 transformers. After exchanging intelligence with their mainland counterparts, customs officers then raided a Shenzhen warehouse a week later. A batch of industrial rubber shock absorbers seized from the site contained another 253 kilos of meth. The total haul of 700 kilos is worth an estimated $400 million in street value. 2 local men aged 43 and 44 were arrested in the operation, although they are believed to be merely agents.
香港海關會聯同內地嘅執法機構繼續追捕佢嘅。
Lee Kam-wing, head of Customs Drug Investigation Bureau, said the mastermind is still on the run. He said drug cartels operating abroad could have stashed the drugs in Hong Kong while soliciting potential buyers in the region. There is no evidence suggesting the drugs were intended for the local markets or that local crime syndicates were involved. Customs added that using messaging apps, overseas cartels got in touch with mainland logistic firms, which enlisted the help of Hong Kong companies to move the shipments. Logistic workers in the city have been urged to stay alert and contact authorities if they suspect their clients are using their service to handle illicit materials. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
Overseas, Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan was ousted from office after Parliament passed a vote of no confidence against him. A new leader will be decided tomorrow. Sarah Wong reports.
All those in favor of the motion may say aye.
Aye.
All those against it may say no. I think ayes have it.
And with that, Imran Khan's reign as Pakistan's prime minister has come to an end. Opposition parties secured 174 votes in the 342-member National Assembly to pass the non-confidence motion. A dozen lawmakers from Khan's own PTI party sided with the opposition in the vote to oust him. They accused the 69-year-old of mishandling Pakistan's economy, evidenced by a record slump in foreign exchange reserves and raging inflation. The vote came at the end of a tumultuous constitutional battle, where the Supreme Court overruled Khan's attempt to block it and dissolve parliament. With its downfall now inevitable, Khan blamed the ouster on foreign conspiracy orchestrated by the United States. During his time in office, Khan has sought warmer ties with China while pivoting away from American influence in the region. Unease also rose among the opposition over Khan's overtures to Russia when it invaded Ukraine. The U.S. State Department shut down Khan's claims of interference, only saying it is closely following the situation. Khan, Pakistan's cricket legend, ascended to power in 2018 after defeating former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's party with an anti-corruption platform. His election marked the second democratic transfer of power in Pakistan, where politics had been dominated by the country's powerful military. Tomorrow, the parliament will vote for a new leader who will hold power until October next year, when elections are scheduled to be held. Sarah Wong, HKIBC.
A stream of European leaders, including British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, are visiting Ukraine with fresh pledges of military and economic assistance. This came as Ukrainian soldiers prepare for a tough battle on the eastern frontier with Russia. Here's Sarah Wong again.
Frustrated with unsuccessful attempts to seize the capital, Kyiv, and a significant loss of its troops, the Kremlin is now focusing on the complete liberation of the Donbas region in eastern Ukraine. The governor of Luhansk, which Russia recognized as independent, urged civilians to leave immediately before renewed Russian assaults. Analysts believe the open terrain in the east and the battle-hardened Ukrainian units there could deter Russia's advance. Meanwhile, the Black Sea port of Odessa was placed under a weekend curfew after authorities warned of a missile strike. Unrelenting shelling on the second-largest city, Kharkiv, also served as a painful reminder that a Russian onslaught is far from over. The ongoing devastation has further united Western countries to support Ukraine. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who idolized Britain's own wartime leader Winston Churchill, made a surprise visit to Kyiv. He joined his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky in a tour of the desolate capital.
We will give you the support that you need, the economic support, but also, of course, the defensive military support, in which I'm proud to say that the UK helped to lead the way.
Johnson pledged 120 armored vehicles and new anti-ship missile systems for Ukraine to fend off Russian amphibious attacks. Austrian Chancellor Karl Naham also traveled to Ukraine, saying the European Union will ramp up sanctions on Moscow. He made the pledge while wading through the debris of Bucha, where civilians were allegedly massacred by Russian forces. Sarah Wong, HKIBC.
On to the weather now. Mainly fine tomorrow, but there will be poor visibility in some areas because of pollution. Temperatures will range between 21 and 28 degrees. Chance of a few showers on Wednesday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Sunday night. Join us for more news at 11:30. I'm Raymond Yeung. Thanks for watching. Good night.